All right, back at it. Not office hours. Those are Tuesdays and Thursdays, 8 p.m. We're doing a little symposium, very specific. When we have a guest today, and it's Blake Mohler. So this is my second go around working with her. So I'm very lucky. Welcome back, Blake. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
She is a Purdue grad, and we're gonna get into her background in a minute. But a pro's comeback mindset, tracking wins when progress feels slow. Blake Mohler, the middle blocker, Indy Ignite, and this year's All-Star team recipient. So training the mental side of performance. That's what we do at AEA and the Mental Edge Academy. That's all we do. Mental fitness is trainable. We know that it is the case. It's built on science, applied sports psychology, used by athletes, coaches, teams worldwide. And tonight, how an elite athlete uses these tools to come back stronger. All right. We One of the things we talk about in some of our mindset training is being intentional. So be intentional tonight. Like when you walk into the weight room or into practice where you need to be intentional, ask yourself simply, how can I apply one lesson from tonight? And how can I help a teammate tomorrow with something I learned? So coaching you up tonight, that's the directive. What's one takeaway you have tonight, and what's a takeaway you have for someone else? Blake Mohler, middle blocker, Indy Ignite, Major League Volleyball All-Star, Purdue grad, yay, almost 1,000 kills, and these numbers are probably light now because we played a little bit more since I got these numbers. Pro in many different countries, and right here in Indianapolis. So I'm on the west side, she's on the northeast side, where her team plays. That's the resume, but that's not what tonight's really about. It's the things outside the resume. So think about this: one major injury, two hip hamstring. That doesn't count what's going on now. Played in 3 different countries, 2 different leagues, and one active rehab right now. Every elite athlete you admire has a story like this. Most never tell it, and no one really gets to the top without a ton of adversity along the way. Some numbers that I didn't know until I did research for tonight, just on ACLs. And Blake doesn't have an ACL issue this time, but only 81% returned to some form of sport. When my wife tore her ACL, the doc's like, "Hey, if you're not active, you don't do much. We don't really have to do a lot here." And she says, "No, I like to hike in the mountains in Colorado all the time. I'm not a high level athlete, but I do athletic things, and I need to maintain that level of lifestyle." Only 65% returned to the same pre-injury level, and only a little bit more than half returned to a competitive same level. So not good numbers, right? It's hard just to be at the level that Blake is with no injuries and to keep elevating from where she was a week ago or a month ago or 5 years ago. Takes a certain kind of mindset. The body comes back, but the mind decides whether the athlete does. So what we're doing tonight, we're going over 6 different pillars. Blake's going to expand on all of these. About grieving the old you, don't put yourself on a timeline, which is huge. Looking at new challenges. Strength isn't just physical. Getting comfortable, asking for help, enormous, and become better on the other side. This is not some comeback story. It's a comeback method. No one has just one setback. Usually there's some weekly, daily setback, something kind of adversity all the time. All right. We're going to get into what she has to say. I've been doing all the talking. Blake, thanks again for being here. Mindset shift, grieving the old you. I was kind of surprised when that was the first topic, but I liked it. What's your thoughts on that? What does that mean, grieve the old you?
Well, I mean, when you look at injury, like it depends on what type of injury you had. And this is my first traumatic injury that like in the middle of a game, right then and there, that second I knew my season was over. My career could have ended. I didn't know what was going to happen. Most of my other major injuries have just been like over time. And it's like, oh, okay, after a season, like my hip was just messed up and let's go in there and fix it. But I was able to play on it. This one, my whole life stopped within 5 seconds. And I knew, especially with the knee, I wasn't going to come back as the same athlete. And I had to not only grieve like the rest of this season, which was historic for the Indy Ignite. We set records. We were literally like, it was an insane season and I was a part of that and it was over. And I had to really let myself grieve that I wasn't going to play in the All-Star match. I wasn't I our team knew at that point we were going to make it to the finals. I wasn't going to be able to play in that semifinal or final match. I wasn't going to be able to be in the running for middle blocker of the year anymore. I had to give all of that up within a point. And I think knowing that, like, I didn't wanna grieve it, I tried to ignore it, I was just like, "Okay, it's fine, like, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and it's gonna be gone." But I really had to sit down and be like, "Okay, like, it's over. Am I gonna come back from this?" And I had decided within being in the back room with the doctors within 10 minutes, I was like, "No, F this, like, I'm coming back, like, my career's not ending that way." But I definitely had to grieve, like, the rest of the season, and honestly, I've cried every day up until I think last week. This is probably the first week I haven't cried. So it took 7, 8 weeks for me to just let go and realize that this is my new reality, and it's gonna take 9 months, and I'm not gonna be the same player that I was this year. In my mind, I'm gonna be better, but I definitely had to let go of everything that I thought this year was gonna look like. And that was really hard, and I was really thankful I had, like, a really good group of girls around me to do it, but you can see I'm getting emotional now talking about it, like, it's one of the hardest things you can do as an athlete.
Sure. When you say you had to let go, when you do that and commit, isn't it a freeing moment? Doesn't some of the weight alleviate? Because now you're not looking in the rear view mirror so much, but you're looking a little bit more forward, which doesn't feel so bad.
Well, I think honestly for the first couple of weeks, like forward is scary. Like I didn't want to think about the fact that I was gonna have to go through a rehab process again. I didn't want to think about I don't know if my knee is gonna come back the same. But now that like I'm starting to move and I've had the surgery and like as days progress, like yes, knowing that like there was a plan and things were gonna get better each day, like that, it was a lot it was very freeing and like each week being able to take steps forward in the progress of rehab, like it also helps. Like this week I've been able to do more than I obviously have since I've gotten injured, and it's the weights are just slowly starting to lift off. Yeah.
Sure. When we talk about the things that we do before we perform on the mental side, when I say that you're building some faith, some belief that you can do something, but there's still the unknown, and the brain typically doesn't like uncertainty. It likes
Mhm.
parameters, it likes knowing what's going to happen. So once you start having a rep or two of something, then there's no longer belief. Now there's confidence. Hey, I'm able to walk. I'm able to bend. And you said you're at 100 degrees today. So that's a new PR. So when you talk about leaving the old you, let me ask you this question from a different perspective. Let's say I haven't been injured, but there's a time when people commit to being a different version of themselves, whether it's a junior high player to a high school player, or high school to college, or college to pro, or fat and out of shape to being lean and in shape. There's this old version of you. What do people miss about that metamorphosis? What do people miss about that change that kind of goes unsaid but is really important? Because you see like you care about what happens next, like you're emotionally
Yeah.
involved, like you're conflicted and convicted. But talk about when you just change into a different person because the old version of you is now gone.
Really look at it as like an option. Like, and I think that's what sets my mindset apart from like so many people that go through things like this, and whether it's a high level athlete or I guess I would say like a lot of high level athletes have to think this way or else we wouldn't be at the level we're at. But like not an option to stay the same. And like I see so many things online about like knee injuries, and it's like I'm so scared I'm not going to get back to the person I was. I'm so scared I'm not going to be stronger after this. And in my mind, it's like that's not even an option. Like I don't look at this as like, am I going to get back there? Like I know I'm going to be a stronger person on the other side of this, and I look at my life like that day to day. Like I want to get better every single day. I want to grow mentally. I want to grow physically. Like I've gone through the ups and downs. I've had the fat stage playing volleyball. I've had the unhealthy stage playing volleyball. I've had the injured stage playing volleyball. Like I look at each of those as an opportunity to grow, and like it's not an option to stay the same on the other side of it. And I think that's what even if you're not an athlete, just like as a person, you want to grow every day and you want to get better until your last breath on this earth. I don't know anyone that wants to stay the same. So, yeah.
Well, you'd be surprised. A lot of people don't care. Around there,
Life's a lot better when you I don't wanna get canceled for saying that, but
when you have a level of conviction, that clarity is pretty high, and a lot of choices are already made. Then there's no longer like, do I take in the right amount of food? Do I go to bed at this time? Do I do the rehab stuff? Those questions aren't even questions anymore because they aren't even options. Because you made this decision with such conviction on this timeline, weeks, months later, all those next future decisions are gone. Like going out and getting drunk and hammered, right? Doesn't happen if you're coming up
mm-mm.
to practicing games, right? You made commitments. Let's look at this next piece. Don't put yourself on a timeline. Losing what used to help your mental health is part of the cost. And most athletes don't expect it. So don't put yourself on a timeline Explain that and how you've approached that idea.
I'm still approaching that idea. My trainer, my doctors, my athletic trainer's worst nightmare. I come in every single day and I'm like, okay, where should I be today? How far along should I be? What phase are we entering into? Like, I'm so annoying. And they're like, slow down. Like, technically should be here, but like your body might not be reacting the same. And I was having a really hard time with that at first because my knee flexion and range of motion just like wasn't coming back from the beginning, and I was really struggling to get it. And they gave me this piece of paper at the beginning, and it was like, okay, week 1 to 3 you're supposed to be here, and then week 3 and 4 you're supposed to have these degrees of motion, and then it was supposed to progress, and I wasn't progressing. And I was getting really frustrated with that, and I was being really hard on myself. And then I started being negative, and it just nothing was going right because I wasn't looking at it with a positive out mindset. And the moment I realized, like, okay, yes, a surgeon can sit here and say most people should progress at this pace. Yeah, well, most people aren't me. Most people didn't tear their knee the way I tore it. Like, not everyone's the same. Every injury is the same. And like, yeah, there could be a timeline that you're supposed to progress at, but like if you're constantly looking at it week by week, you're just going to get yourself into this hole mentally that you can't get out of. And so just knowing like, okay, yeah, that's a guide, but not my personal timeline, I think is a better way to look at it. And then I think it's just really important to have a good physical therapist and doctor that's open with you about that. Because I mean, it's not easy, and I'm still struggling with it to this day. Like, I'm already like, okay, so I'm going to be clear for December 1st, right? Like, I'll be playing first day of training camp, right? And like, no one can guarantee you that. Like, yeah, I can work my ass off to get there, but we can't. No one can sit here and promise me that I'm going to be back that day, and no one can promise that I'm going to be squatting weight in, I don't know, 3 weeks when I'm supposed to. You just have to take it day by day.
That's huge. And a number of things I wanted to ask about your timeline, and it's a guideline, not nearly as precise as people would like. When you're fully healthy and you're lifting weights and they say, hey, we should be able to do another 5% here, 6%, 8%, there's usually some kind of range on the percentage of the next jump, right? But it's a range. It's not like it's always, hey, if you squatted 200, you're doing 205 next, or it could be 210, could be 212. But it's always a range. When you look at yourself on the timeline, do you also look at what's my upper body strength growing on this timeline? What's my ability to relax? What's my nutrition on these different timelines? So while you have this timeline for your knee, do you also have other timelines that you're working on in parallel that you can get other wins at as well?
My strength coach definitely does. She's got this whole progression that my upper body is going through right now, which is nice that I can like shift my focus on progressing there and also just like not as much stress on my lower body. But I am a very much so give it 100% full force, gas, no breaks type of person. The slow progressions really isn't my cup of tea, and I'm having to learn to take it a little bit slower.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Well, I like how you can get certain small wins on one piece while you can make other gains. Like if you were a freshman in college, there's still way more to learn than there is this many years as a pro, right? So if you hurt your knee as a freshman in college, you can say, well, I still need to watch a lot more film because there's still a lot more for me to learn, right? There's other ways to really move the needle.
Absolutely.
Accept the challenge of something new. The shift from mourning to engaging is when the comeback starts, not when the body is cleared. So that's all mindset changing. Talk about that.
I've always looked at every injury as a challenge, and I don't know if that's just because like I'm a very competitive person. Everything has to be a game for me, or everything has to be a way to get better. But there's so much time that you have to spend on yourself throughout a rehab process that why not completely better yourself as a whole? Like, I'm gonna take this time, and this actually kind of started with my last hip surgery. And the last time we had talked, I finally felt like I figured out a lot of things from my third injury. And thank goodness I had implemented those into my life and into my career, because I don't think I'd be coming back from this injury the way I'm coming back if I hadn't made a lot of changes 2 years ago. But each injury, I just like push myself to be like, okay, what kind of teammate can it be? Because you get pulled out of the sport and you have to sit on the sidelines. And this was the first time that I had to watch my team continue on. But like, how could I sit there on the sidelines knowing that like that was my opportunity to be on the court and I had to reach other girls? I was very happy, mind you. I was so proud of the girls that stepped up during that time. But like, how can I help them? Like, I have a different perspective now. Like, I'm sitting on the side seeing so much more of the game than I would on the court. How can I be a better friend? Like, how can I check on people while I have all of this downtime? How can I don't know, can I do more Bible study? Can I do more reading? Like, there's just so many ways that you can get better as a person and form all these new routines through a rehab process because you have so much time to focus on yourself that if you don't look like a new person on the end, I think you did your rehab process correctly.
Gotcha. So the I make sure I wore my sweatshirt today 'cause it says win the day. And I like that approach
Mhm.
because you're sitting there on the bench and you're not playing, right? And there were at least 5 other things you just mentioned on things you can get wins that day. And when you do that, you create your own motivation, you create your own happiness, you create your own healing, right? And you don't get to come back as the same player because you're going to have all these extra lessons that you just picked up over these 9 months. So in a lot of ways, you'll be a much better player, right? But no one comes back the
Yeah.
same because those whole 9 months of experiences changes who you are, how you think, how you work with people. I'm sure the whole
Mhm.
team dynamic's going to change. And when
Yeah.
you start looking for these other wins, you're back to being in control. You're not sitting there just woe is me thinking, oh man, this sucks. You're actually fabricating a more positive outlook.
Yeah.
Easy to say,
Absolutely.
brutal to do until it's just part of what you do. Strength
Mhm.
isn't just physical. Physical strength gets you cleared. Mental strength gets you back on the floor. When did you realize physical training alone wasn't going to get you back? Like when I talked to you maybe a couple weeks ago or a week ago to ask you about doing this, you said I really prayed on this a lot. So
Mhm.
maybe I was sent to you to work through this
Yeah.
as a little bit of therapy, right? And to reach other people. So that's a big impact. So how has that transition been going? When did you realize that it's not just the physical training?
This year, this injury, really am not like a mental person. I never have been. I don't think a ton. Just I put my head down and I do. I lead by example. I don't know. I never had a mental aspect of the game that bothered me up until this last season. Just because of experiences and programs I played in and coaches I played under, like I had started to form like anxiety in my play. And that had never been a thing I dealt with before. And I would kind of have like these mini panic attacks playing. And I really had to like come into this season and just letting go of the mental side. I was like, okay, I'm just not going to think this year. Like I thought way too much last year. It didn't work out for me. I'm not going to think. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to play this year. And I just got in like really good shape. So like I thought strength was the way to do it. Like I got really strong. I focused on my health. Like this is the best shape I've been in probably my whole entire pro career. And I was like, I'm performing great. This is great. I'm not thinking. I'm just strong. It is strength. It's not mental. It's literally physical. And then this happened and it is mental because I was in the best shape I was in my career and I just had the worst injury ever. So being strong and being fit wasn't going to get me through this because it actually kind of caused it. My quad was so strong it ripped my kneecap off. So now I'm realizing that like it really is a mental side of it, and it's mental within yourself. It's mental with how you interact with other people. Just even like I didn't want to talk to our team psychologist for weeks. I was like, I don't want to talk about this. I just didn't want it to be real. And now the more I'm thinking about it, like so many athletes go through this and the long rehab process is so like just lonely and isolating that if we don't talk about the mental side of it, we're not helping each other. And I just haven't really been in a program where like a player has gone through something like this before. So like I haven't even seen this is like my first time experiencing an injury like this in my entire life. Like I've never had a teammate. This is never like a traumatic injury like this has never happened to me personally. Like it's weird. And the more I'm like doing the research and talking and looking at all of these other athletes online, it's like there is a huge mental side to this. Being able to open up and talk about that helps so many young girls because I didn't know as a young player that this could be a reality. The amount of young girls that have reached out to me throughout this injury, just saying that they're going through the same thing and like they feel like they're lost. And I didn't have to deal with this at a young age. I'm very fortunate that I'm 29 years old and had like so many experiences on the court to be able to get myself through this in other ways. But like these young athletes, they don't know, they haven't been through the things that I've been through to learn and be able to get through this with not by myself, with all the help around me. But I couldn't imagine this feeling at 15, 16 years old before your career is even started. So I think by me being able to talk about it and me just being open about what I'm going through and what I'm feeling and all of that can really help these young girls who don't have the life experience that I've had.
Yes, yes. It could be a little bit therapeutic just communicating it out loud and then also in front of
Mhm.
people. But I'd probably push back on a bunch of this where you said it wasn't meant I'm just going to be strong. Like committing to be strong in the weight room is a mental commitment. To
Yeah.
be disciplined when you don't want to is a mental commitment. Choosing, hey, I'm not going to think that much, so I'm not going to obsess. I'm going to choose a different mindset of being more comfortable and relaxed and going with the flow and just sending it. That's a different
Mhm.
mental approach. So these are all
Yeah.
conscious decisions that were done mentally because you're still a lot of it is going to be trial and error. Hey, I was all wound up
Mhm.
hard charging, then it worked so well. I'm still going to train my butt off, but I'm going to just send it and see what happens. All right. So
Yeah.
for you, that's working better. So there's still these choices, and to stay with this through adversity after adversity, like regardless of injury, having to push weight and be fatigued and have all the pressure, right? Those are all things that you're constantly working on. So that takes strength mentally and physically, and you just keep pushing all the time. So I would not say you're weakening, backing down.
I think that's just how my parents wired my brain.
To blame them.
It's
Yes.
just never, yeah, that's never been a thought that it's working hard. It's just that, I don't know, it's just how I am.
All right. Get comfortable asking for help. Asking for help isn't a sign of weakness. It's the first sign that recovery is happening. So how'd you let someone in? How's that working?
The asking for help part is horrible. It's so hard. I was fine when it was my mother here for 2.5 weeks taking care of me because I don't care asking her for help. I'm like, "Hey, mom, can you get this? Hey, mom, can you go get that? Oh, sorry, you just sat down. Can you go back in there and get me a water?" That poor girl went through hell for 2.5 weeks. But then she leaves and I'm here by myself and I'm like, oh gosh, I have to call my roommate and ask her to get up to get me water because I literally can't get up. And I was non-weight bearing. I was on crutches. It hurt to move out of bed. Like it was just asking somebody to get me ice, asking someone to come pick me up and take me to the grocery store. Like things that I'm such an independent person and like do not like relying on other people for. Like that was really hard and it was uncomfortable. And I'm so thankful that like my teammates were literally like, look, we would rather help you and do things for you than be in your position. So, like, do not feel uncomfortable asking things for us because no one wants to be where you're at. And so that is honestly like really comforting knowing like, okay, like they are more willing to help because I mean, this is like a really hard spot to be in and you far away from home. And I'm sure a lot of college athletes experience that. And like, I'm fortunate that like my family was able to drop everything and be here for me. Like, not everyone has that. And it's scary knowing that like some athletes can go through this and like not have that kind of help. So just know that there's people there that want to help you. And honestly, everyone would rather help you than be in your shoes. And it's uncomfortable, but I think it also helps grow your relationships with other people and just, it's honestly made me realize too, like, how I can help other people when they're in that situation too. Because it's like you really don't know what someone's going through until you're in that position. So I think it's also just made me like a more caring person, hopefully, and then all this.
Have you helped someone on your team or in your family before?
No, I'm always the one that needs.
Ever helped anybody else on anything?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Not like this.
Sure.
Obviously, like, yeah, I'll go pick you up, I'll drive somewhere, things like that. But like, I haven't. There's never been a situation where somebody's really been like fully reliant on me.
When you help someone, don't you feel unless they're kind of nagging you, unless it's my little brother who's always asking for help all the time, unless it's that guy. But when you help someone, don't you probably feel pretty good about things?
Yeah, absolutely, and, like, yeah, like, half the time I wasn't even having to ask people, they were wanting to do it for me before I even had to
Do
ask,
it. They want to help.
so
They feel good if you allow them. And if you,
yeah.
I'm not, chastising you. I'm the exact same way. I don't want to be a burden. But when my wife
Mhm.
sees me struggling and she alleviates it, she's happy that, hey, I helped Jim. Like he's my teammate. So I was there. Like I'm sure your parents were a little inconvenienced, but I don't see my parents showing up to the Zoom call, right?
Yeah, no, I think everyone was really good in that area.
Become better on the other side, the dark side. Not just kidding. The question is
Mhm.
never when will I be back? It's who will I be when I get there? So what's rehab making you better at that you
This one, everything. My gosh, everything, yeah. It's testing my faith. It's testing how I look at each day. It's testing, okay, if I can't do something with my leg, how can I get creative and get it done in the house anyways? Like, I mean, there was a point where I was pulling a laundry basket with a rope around my apartment. I'm getting creative. I'm getting stronger, trusting my body. I'm trusting the people that are leading my rehab, which is also really scary. It's I mean, I think I'll be a completely changed person. I'll be turning 30 when I get cleared from this injury, and I think I'll be entering a whole new phase of life when that happens.
Oh man, the eyesight goes.
Yeah, no, seriously. But I don't know. This injury, like, I would not say I'm grateful for it because honestly, like, I'm still really pissed off that I'm having to go through this. But like, just the people that I've met through this, the experiences that I'm gonna get to have, seeing how I've impacted others already, just not like it's like a wholesome type thing. But like, it also sucks. But I definitely, I definitely see that there's like positive coming through this. Uh, I don't know how much, but hopefully by the end, it'll be a bigger picture, I think.
I'm sure it'll be revealed. And when your mom sent me the message the other day, I said, one James is be thankful for the struggle, for it creates perseverance, right? So this
Yeah.
struggle is creating all these things. So in a lot of ways, this struggle has been an enormous gift because of all the growth in so many other areas.
No, absolutely. Like the opportunity, even the opportunities that have come through this injury, like I don't think I would have ever received. So it's easier to look at an injury instead of like, why me? This sucks. I hate my life. It's like I'm grateful for the opportunity to grow. I'm grateful for the people I get to reach, and I'm grateful that I'm going to be even stronger because now my job is to literally just work out for the next 9 months.
I know a guy that does that. All right,
Yeah.
tracking your progress. When we talked on the phone, you said this was a huge deal, and I wanted to highlight it, and I've talked about it before. So this is the journal I used in 24 and 25 when I committed to doing that SEAL swim, swimming across the
Mhm.
river to raise that money, right? And
Mhm.
what I wanted to show people is that what I would do is track every time I trained in one column, and then every time I had some kind of PR. So just tracking those tick marks, and then any time there's any kind of PR, right, over those 15 months, whether it was a longer distance or swimming with my eyes shut because you're in the water that's open water, but the tracking and seeing a win and whatever it is just created motivation because motivation is so fleeting, right? But if I know that if I go and I do something else tomorrow, I get to make another little tick mark, like a little 5-year-old at age 50, made all the difference for me to keep moving. So talk about how tracking for you has made the difference.
Well, like I said, I don't like taking this day by day. I was getting really frustrated at the beginning with like the progress that I was making and that it was slow. But then my PT got me a journal with um a Bible verse that she literally had started our first session with, and it just like was really motivating to me that and she was like, okay, here's this journal. I want you to read this every day and I want you to write down like what you're doing in PT, how you feel, how you finish the day. And I'm definitely not good at doing it every day because there are some days that I get back and I'm just like frustrated and I don't want to think about it. But even just like looking where I was a week ago compared to today, and even if it's not just like journaling, like I'm not a huge write it down person, but I love like recording it and I love taking pictures and I love videoing what I'm doing in the gym and being able to scroll back and see that like I literally just started walking a week and a half ago. Like,
Hmm.
and I get mad today that I can't do a single leg squat. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I just started walking 9 days ago, and then walking before those 9 days. It's like, okay, I'm getting mad that I'm not like walking at full speed, but 5 days ago, I couldn't even bend my knee 40 degrees. So it's like, yeah, you can get frustrated where you're at that day, but just go look back at where you were 4 days ago. Like, especially with the injury like this, like the jumps that you make week by week are huge. It's so easy to forget that because you're just returning to normalcy at this point. But like you forget that your normalcy day one was you couldn't even go to the bathroom by yourself. Like there's just so much progress made throughout a rehab that you forget because you're used to being a normal human being. That when you can like go back and literally see what you looked like even a week before, it helps kind of bring you back to reality that like you're doing something that's really freaking hard.
Even when we have the average Joes that join the gym, we tell them to take progress pictures. It's
Mhm.
motivating because if you see yourself every day, you don't notice the differences. And giving yourself
Yeah.
a little bit of grace, right? So I used to be so arrogant and I thought I had everything figured out and it's all on my plan and my time. And
Yeah.
it clearly is not, right? There's someone else that's guiding a lot of times. So tracking, you improve what you measure, and that's tracking is huge for that. All right. So every time when we do things like this, every time I do things like this, I always have to ask the question, now what? Which is the title of all my speeches. Now what? So for those playing along at home, you have some homework reflection. Just pick one though. What am I still mourning that I haven't accepted yet and I need to move on? Personally and professionally. Whose timeline am I living by, mine or someone else's? I'd probably add, are you giving yourself any grace? Who could I ask for help that I haven't? A boss, a family member, a coach, a different kind of coach? And what am I tracking and what should I be tracking? What I tell people oftentimes, whatever they're avoiding the most is probably what's holding them back the most. Like if I were in the gym, I know that if I did some mobility work, I would lift better, but I'd rather just start lifting, right? And so the lack of mobility holds me back and I avoid it. So that's a mistake, right? So everyone you don't need to tell me what it is, but pick one and ask another athlete. Remember how we're doing this for yourself, and I don't want you to be an ally. So think about one of these things and ask about, if you're asking an athlete or an ally to do the same thing. Most coaches and parents leave a session like this and they're fired up, but by Monday, nothing has changed, right? That's not a motivating problem. It's a system problem. So the Mental Edge, what we do, our summer series, so this is our 1 minute pitch. We work on mental performance reps. We break it down. We do weekly live coaching. In the chat, I already listed in there, there's a program guide for this volleyball symposium. Just download that. In addition, there is a form if you're interested in learning more about our summer boot camps. Blake's already demonstrated multiple mindsets today and made all the difference. But if you want to bring this to your team, just book a free 20-minute session with me and we'll go over it. No pressure, just letting you choose. The comeback isn't the story, it's the method. Goals are for losers. Systems are for winners. Goals are just wishes without systems. Systems win, right? Blake, man, the authenticity, the vulnerability, the reality, the knowledge, you were completely helpful. You provide so much value. It's very humbling that someone at your high level was willing to share with us. So I'm nothing but grateful for you, your efforts, your knowledge, and your help.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
I love the app.
Well, good. Until next time, everybody. Now, before we leave, I'm gonna give you guys an option. If you guys want, hit me with a question or hit Blake with a question. And if not, then we'll return to your normal scheduled broadcasting.
I think we're good.
I want Lexi to ask a question.
I don't know when you say what do you do when you feel like you're just kind of at you're not making any improvements, but you're not getting worse. You're kind of just at a standstill pretty much.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I've actually come to that a lot in my career. I would say my whole entire time playing overseas, I was very complacent with my play and I just really didn't care to get better. And it took the opportunity of US league starting and being able to play at home for me to kind of want to get back into this high level volleyball. But just in a day-to-day setting, I love having open communication with my coaches and I love learning and I love being very technical even at my age. So just going to my coaches and being hey, what can I work on this week to get better? What is the other middle in my position better at that I could be the same level of competitiveness and that skill level with, or just any area of improvements, because your coach will have something. And just always being open to learning is something that a lot of coaches look forward to do. So it's kind of a double whammy of positivity that you'll give to your team.
Remember you mentioning that you were complacent for a number of years when we recorded that podcast, and I was like, huh. But it happens, right? No, the line is never linear, right? There's all these moments where you're regressing or stagnant, and you got to reassess and have some help. I have some help to reassess. Good question, little Lex. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
The rest is my family, and they can text me.
Well, everyone, thanks for being here, and
thanks, Blake.
Thanks for joining, guys.
For being here, thanks for contributing. Great to meet the Mohler family. Man, it's very exciting. And Blake, we'll have to meet up because my wife and I want to come see you guys. So I'll send you. We can meet up sometime.
Yeah, definitely. Please, yeah.
All right. See you guys. Take care.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye.